joining us here on the phone is a man who's been covering sports for the Oklahoman as a sports columnist since 1991, and unfortunately is on everybody's lips because of the fact that Russell Westbrook won't talk to him. He's Barry Tramel of the Oklahoman, kind enough to call it the show. How are you, Barry?
I'm good, Rich. How's things going?
I'm doing fine. So first up with you is essentially what can you explain to those who are watching the post-game press conferences with Russell Westbrook, and what is actually happening with him and you, Barry?
Oh, Russ has not been too partial to me for about 4 years. I don't really know what started it. I literally don't know. But about 4 years ago, he said he didn't like me. And so off and on over those 4 years, we've sort of had some valleys, I would say. But about 3 months ago, he didn't like a particular question. And since then, he hasn't answered any of my questions. And it's sort of a thing in Oklahoma, but I didn't know it was any big deal. And then the playoffs come and the spotlight hits and people start watching the press conferences. And now the whole nation seems excited about it. So that's really what's going on, but it's nothing particularly new.
Well, I mean, is he an angry person? I mean, what is he so upset about if you don't know what it is? Haven't you spoken to him about it, Barry?
No. There's not any kind of relationship there, and it's not just me. It's nothing personal. I don't take this personal because it's not personal. Russell doesn't really like anyone in the media. He doesn't have a relationship with much of anybody in the media. He just sort of fingered me out, maybe because I've been around the longest. But there's no discussions. I mean, he's been in town 11 years, and of course I've been around forever. And we've had two conversations outside of the interview set up. One of those conversations was 3 seconds, 4 seconds, in which he shook my hand at a media day and said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Great, hey, great to see you." That was that. And then 3 years ago, I found out through Thunder channels that he was upset with a particular question, and they said this person said, "You know what, you might have came across wrong on that interview, on that question." To which I said, "Well, maybe, I don't know, but I'll be glad to apologize." So I followed him out of the locker room one night and said, "Hey, Russell, I heard you got offended at that question. Hey, that was not my intent. I apologize." He shook my hand and said, "Hey, it's no problem. Thanks." That's literally the only conversations we've had other than me asking him a question about a basketball game. So there's no relationship here. There's no process by which we could sit down or even stand up and talk it out. That does not occur in Oklahoma City. Sort of the culture that they built. It's a bad move on the franchise's part, but it's the road they've decided to go down. And the problem with it is you can reach a point like where we're at now.
Well, and then my question, Barry Tramel, the Oklahoman here on the Rich Eisen Show. You know, people might be listening to us right now saying, well, poor member of the media not getting his questions answered, et cetera, et cetera. So to those folks, what do you think this does for the franchise there, and how has it affected, do you think, the team, the attitude that we don't have to answer to anybody or people that might represent the fan base? I mean, how does this manifest itself, this behavior, do you think, Barry?
Well, on the court, I don't know that it's got any kind of serious ramifications other than it's a symptom that, you know, the Thunder has sort of turned over total control to Russell Westbrook. When Kevin Durant left 3 years ago, the state was devastated. The city was devastated. Everybody was in a state of mourning. And about a month later, Russell says, "Hey, you know what? I'm still with you." And he signed a 1-year contract extension. A year after that, he signed the 5-year contract extension and basically just endeared himself to the entire state for all time. But the Thunder has always been really accommodating to Russell, handing him quite a bit of control of meetings with the Thunder. And since then, since he declared, with those contract extensions, it's completely out of control. This is Russell Westbrook's franchise. And that's probably not a good thing for any sport, any franchise to cede that kind of control. You probably argue that it's not good for the Cavaliers or the Lakers or whoever had LeBron James, and he's LeBron James delivering championships. So it's a bad look. And the truth is, Russell is still beloved, but people have their limits. And I'm not a neutral observer. I'm in the middle of this, so I'm biased. My feedback 3 years ago, if I was at war with Russell Westbrook, my name would be Mud, and people would be very angry with me. There's not much anger coming my way. People are very supportive. People inside the organization, people outside the organization, fans, people at the arena say, hey, I don't know why Russell's acting this way. Hang in there. So I think he's damaged himself, and I know he's damaged the franchise. And it's just very unfortunate because, I don't want this to happen, and I don't want the Thunder to suffer. But I also am not going to cede control. Russell tries to control everything. He doesn't get my little corner. When I say the media, the media in general, he doesn't get our little corner of the world. He can't run us. So that's really why I keep asking him questions.
And so if they go out tonight, are you in Portland right now? And the first question you'll ask is of Russell Westbrook tonight?
That's my plan. I am in Portland, and I will ask him a question tonight, win or lose.
Okay.
I will. And, Sunday night was game
Well,
4.
The thing that caught my attention, Barry, was Friday night because I'm not watching Paul George as closely as you are, but I'm watching him next question the question that was asked of him about dunking on the Blazers with no time left, and then you asking questions of Russell before that, and him essentially asking Westbrook for permission, essentially, to answer on his behalf. That kind of caught me off guard. That is Paul George now being taken down this path by his teammate, and will that be somehow a problem for the franchise?
Well, it's a great question, and you're exactly right. Friday night, I think, was the tipping point because that was an awful look. Paul George has a pretty good reputation around the league, pretty accommodating, affable guy, pretty solid, and he seemed to jump on the Westbrook train that night, and it did not go across good with anybody that I know, fans, media, league members. When Steve Kerr comes out and says, hey, this isn't good, this is a problem, I think it's reached the point where something had to give. And something did give. Russell on Sunday did not say, next question. Now, he didn't answer my question, but he moved off of high center, and when people asked me about it, I said, I just appreciated his tone. He wasn't surly. He wasn't combative. He just sort of talked in a normal voice when he didn't answer my questions. And to me, that's progress. So, maybe things will improve. We'll see.
All right. Well, last question for you on this front before we move to Kyler Murray and the draft. Barry Tramel of the Oklahoman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Bill Simmons is one of many observers out there thinking that the Thunder might be better off parting ways with Russell Westbrook and sending him elsewhere and rebuilding from scratch. What do you think?
That would be an interesting concept. I just can't imagine him doing it because of what Russell has meant to the franchise in the wake of Kevin Durant leaving. Durant left on July 4th, 2016, and I can't express to you the mood of that day when the news came about 10:45 in the morning. And frankly, July 4th haven't been the same since. Every July 4th is supposed to be everybody's favorite day. Celebration, fun, go to the lake, go to the beach, have a parade, have a party. Oklahomans sort of light a candle and say this was the day the music died. And for Russell Westbrook to to sort of take up the flag and say, you know what, we're going to keep marching on, was such an amazing decision by Westbrook. I think it would be very tough for this franchise to make that decision. Bill Simmons is right. Russell's going to be 31 next year. His game is in decline. Still a wonderful player, but his game is in decline. His contract is going through the roof. It's going to be an albatross very soon if it's not already. So business-wise, yes, that's the best thing to do. Emotionally, I just can't see the Thunder pulling that trigger.
Barry Tramel of the Oklahoman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, the potential first overall pick in this year's draft played his collegiate football last year 20 miles down the road from you in Norman, Oklahoma. Look, you can hear all sorts of red flags about anybody. The red flags about Kyler Murray this year from the fact that he was unprepared on the grease board as at the Combine to talk about X's and O's, as Charlie Casserly said. Kyler Murray came on my show at the Super Bowl before strolling down the hallway to Dan Patrick, and it was just bizarre how he was not prepared to answer questions about his playing future when he knew those questions were coming. How much of that stuff rings true based on what you know about Kyler Murray, Barry?
The second part rings true. Now, the whiteboard stuff, I don't have any idea. He certainly showed none of that at Oklahoma. He was fabulous as a quarterback. He punched all the buttons, just a wonderful player in every regard. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors in football preparation. I got no clue on that. I respect Charlie Casserly. I respect Lincoln Riley. I don't know who's right. The unpreparedness was striking, though. The truth is, I think Kyler Murray got caught in sort of a vortex. I don't think he's a confident guy. He had high goals and high aspirations. But not even he or his father, I think, were prepared for him to be the 9th pick overall in the baseball draft. I don't think they had any idea that he could be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. I think both of these things just sort of landed on top of their head, and they weren't ready for it. They signed on with Scott Boras. Scott Boras is one of the most powerful people in baseball, and clearly expected and wanted Kyler to sign with the A's, and he did. And to me, it became pretty clear that Kyler wanted to play football, but he had this baseball contract pulling him, and I think they were just sort of blindsided by the enormity of the situation. So they weren't prepared for it, and frankly, nobody really probably could expect them to. I think Kyler Murray's a solid guy. He's not brash. He's not. He's more aloof than anything. Everybody's used to Baker Mayfield. You don't have to sit around wondering what's going on in Baker Mayfield's mind. He'll just tell you. He'll show you. That's not the way Kyler Murray is. Murray is quiet. He's introspective. You don't really have a good read on him. So he's a little bit of an enigma. But I would say, for the NFL purposes, the biggest question about Kyler Murray is everybody's question. Is he big enough? I think he's good enough, but is he big enough? Reason to think he is because of Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield and Drew Brees, but we're going to have to see. I think football acumen, I think he's going to be fine physically. We'll see.
I got Marquis Brown coming to studio in the next hour. He and obviously Murray are two standouts from Oklahoma. Which kid are you looking forward to seeing at the next level that you've watched play either at Oklahoma or Oklahoma State over the last couple of years, Barry?
Well, Marquis Brown is fun. Marquis Brown is as fast as anybody I've seen play football at Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. He is sort of a thin Tyreek Hill. He's a home run hitter. And the thing I like about Marquis Brown is, with Mayfield and then Murray, the 50, 60-yard bombs were sort of a staple. But Lincoln Riley figured out ways, sort of the way the Chiefs have used Tyreek Hill. Throw him a 4-yard pass, and maybe he can turn it into 40. if he can turn that corner. So that speed is amazing on Marquis Brown. He's awfully fun. But you can't take your eyes off of a quarterback. Every snap, Kyler Murray is going to give you something to discern wherever he ends up. So I think the Kyler Murray experiment with the NFL is going to be fascinating. If he succeeds, then the revolution is not just over. I mean, not just begun. I think it's over. I think it's won. That small, mobile quarterbacks are the wave of the future, or at least a part of the future.
Barry, I appreciate the 2 cents on that. Look, nobody in the media wants to be part of the spotlight or part of the story, and I appreciate you calling to share all of that before tonight's potentially closeout game of the Thunder season. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
You bet. That's Barry Tramel, at Barry Tramel on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.